getting fueled up, ready to roll. So we got Brandon on his first running of the forestry mulching head. He's got a good feel for the machine, the excavator that is, but this is definitely his first time running the mulching head. And you can see I'm staying right behind the machine here. We'll put the drone up in there in a minute and get some footage. It's just a big weed eater, is what I told him. That's all it is. So we're gonna let him work. I'm gonna fly you guys around and let you see what we're working on. All right, friends, as promised, the Hubsan Zino Pro drone is in hand, and this is gonna be a really good tool for me being able to get good video up close and safely of the forestry mulcher workings, to give you guys an idea of what a forestry mulcher can do and whether or not it would be a good purchase for you in your business. So let's get this thing in the air and buzz around Brandon there a little bit. Now what are we doing? We're leaving the job site. I'm leaving it in Brandon's capable hands. He is not somebody who likes to sit still. He gets bored, so I'm not worried about him continuing to work just because I take off. And he doesn't need me sitting there watching him and distracting him. He's working at a good, pace that I wanted him to work at, and that's his pace. Speed comes with time running a machine. You can't just put somebody on it with a whole new attachment and say, okay, go as fast as me, or be done by this time. That's not how it works. I've done that job he's doing now, I think 4 or 5 times over. I know how long it takes me. What I want him to focus on is doing the job safely. Don't turn the machine over, and it is steeper than it looks. Where he was sitting just then, that's a flat area, but it does get fairly steep going up the rest of it. So I need him focused on controlling the machine, not putting the head into the dirt, not what does Todd think about what I'm doing, what is he thinking right now. Is he watching every little thing I'm doing? Is he playing on his phone? It doesn't matter what I'm doing. What matters is that he stays focused and he learns, and he's going to learn a lot quicker, and speed will come with that if he's not distracted. So I'm leaving him with it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to go home, maybe take the family out to eat. I'm not going to think about production today. I'm going to focus on him growing as an operator and learning this new attachment. He hasn't run that mulcher yet, but he's doing good. It's slow. It's slower than me, but I'm fluid with the machine. I'm very used to it, and it's just something people have to learn. And you guys out there, if you're stepping into hiring people, yeah, you've got to watch some people, and you have to be there all the time with some people. Brandon is not one of those. He can manage himself. He doesn't need me watching him all the time. And that's one of the feelings I got about him when I interviewed him. And as we hang out more than we work together. We are just two dudes that are hanging out, getting work done, and it's a good working relationship. So part of my goal for him is to be able to just take a job and run with it and me not be there. And so far he has done that. Every time I've asked him to do something when I can't be there, or I just want him to take the reins by himself, he has taken it, he's run with it, and he's impressed me every single time. And I know there's a lot of you out there that may never have experienced that, may never had good luck with employees, but for my first employee, I could not ask for somebody better. I'm thankful to have him, and me and Kelly are gonna treat him and his family as good as we can, because he is doing the best job that he can. So I'm going to just take the day, chill, and we'll check back in on that job toward the end of the day. Good morning, welcome to the broadcast. Today, Brandon, I had to send him back over to the pond job, and that's a story I don't really want to tell, but I'm going to tell it anyway, because this channel is all about the reality of excavation and grading, so let's get into it. I'm going to try guys centered in the action today. This ground is actually pretty steep. Brandon did a fantastic job starting us on this project. You can see he's mowed that hillside, and maybe, you can't really tell by that barn over there the slope of the ground. And anybody who's in this business, which most of my viewers are, you know that on camera you just can't see grade that well, so this won't be that long of a video. Well, maybe it will, but as far as the talking part, maybe not so much. Everybody's wanting longer videos, so that's what I'm going to do. Doesn't mean I'm going to talk the whole time. Now on this mulching head, when you got really tall stuff like this, let me just show you. Let me get my blade down. If you put it straight down to the ground and you start cutting, yeah, it'll cut and it'll suck it in, and it doesn't do too bad of a job. But the way I like to do it, which doesn't seem as effective, but it actually is leaving it at about a 45 degree. So you can see that part of the head that's closest to the ground, which is also closest to us, cuts really fine. But the farther part away that's sticking up away from the grade a little bit cuts the material about halfway down, and it'll give you a better cut. Some people really like watching this, and some people it's probably going to bore their brains out. So you guys can either fast forward through the video or just go to a whole nother channel completely. So the story with the pond, and I really don't know how to tell the story. It's kind of interesting. So anybody who's worked on ponds, you don't always fix it the first time around. Especially if it's a leak. Leaks can be a little bit, I think, tough to find or fix, and sometimes it takes more than once, unless you just do a really expensive, complete rebuild of the dam, which was not in this customer's budget. And you'll have to excuse me when I pause talking, because I can't really concentrate and run this machine at the same time. I'm kind of having to read the ground, I don't want to get too far along and have to back up and track the ground down too much. Some of these areas, like right here, the ground is kind of wavy, and like right there, I don't want those to fall over, so I do have to kind of go up and over them and sweep them back toward the bank. Otherwise they fall down just like that, and I don't like it, and I don't even know why. It's not that big a deal. I'm just kind of OCD like that. So with the pond, we had the leak stopped, and I suspected that there was a spring head coming out as well. So I told the customer, keep an eye on it and let me know if it changed. Well, the little spring head has remained the same, but our leak did come back. So I'm convinced of that until Brandon gets over there today and takes some pictures. I'm pretty sure it's the leak, because the water is up to the bottom of our overflow pipe, and that was a really cheap system put in. And let me just tell you, we were working on about $2,500 budget. So that is part of the problem there, you know. And I tried to work with anybody's budget, but I knew that there was a chance that we wouldn't be able to fix it on that, and that is become kind of true. feeling about the job as much as I did the customer. And the reason for that is because, let me get repositioned here, move around a bit. And the reason I don't just sit in the road is I want to be able to get as much reach as I can from a stable platform, which is right here along this shoulder that's been mowed. I can put my blade down like so. I'm going to try to get everything in the shot. Now when you're working on steep ground like this, you want to work every inch that you can while not moving the machine in this current situation. So at any rate, so the customer a couple of days ago, you know, I've checked in with him every single day. He has not had to call or pursue me. And even Kelly's like, why do you keep going and checking in with the guy? And I was like, because I want to be the one checking in. I don't want him to feel like he's going to have to call me if something goes wrong. I want to stay ahead of it, and I want to, you know, if something did happen and a dam started to eat away or something, I want to be able to respond immediately and not let a customer wait until it gets too far along. So until the day before yesterday, everything was great and fine. Pond's filling up, and the pond did fill all the way up. But he suspected that, you know, it was starting to leak again. I got there, I looked at it, and until I see pictures from Brandon today to see where it's at in relation to the pipe, I'm not going to know that for certain. Let's go ahead and get this up here. This thing is so fun to run. If you're in this business, you don't have at least a mowing head, you can get a Brushmaster, like a bush hog type head, for like $5,000 or $6,000. And I don't think you got to tune the hydraulics much or any. If somebody has one, drop it in the comments and let them know how you like it. I've run one and I love it. I think it does great. I think it does better on brushy stuff like this than this mulching head, hands down. So at any rate, customer tells me day before yesterday, yeah, it was great. Came a rain, pond filled up, it's running through the overflow. Everything's perfect. So I said, okay. Well, I checked in yesterday. I actually went by the job site. Water is not flowing through the overflow pipe. And it's right up to the very bottom. It was up to the very bottom lip of the overflow pipe. So that tells me that they got he said 1.5 inches of rain, and that flow filled the pond up fast enough to where it came out the overflow. But that doesn't mean that there's not a leak. It just means that there was so much water coming in that it couldn't leak it out. So it must have hit the overflow. But when we got there yesterday, you know, now the customer has made a couple of comments, you know, that kind of made me raise my eyebrows as to his way of thinking. And nothing alarming. Well, then yesterday, he said something about the pond not being high enough. Now, for me, yeah, I filled the pond up. I wanted him to have a full pond because he commented about, you know, that he was afraid that the way we had to regrade it, he wouldn't have as much of a pond. So I said, all right, we set the overflow pipe up higher so it would fill the pond up plenty. Well then, because he made that comment, the pond got really full, and to the little overflow section, which is a low spot on the dam, where you intentionally leave it a little bit low, so if there is a flooding and the pipe can't handle it, the water can run off in a place where it's not going to do damage, or as little damage as possible. Wasn't in the budget to build like overflow with riprap and stuff like that. $2,500 just doesn't go far in the excavation world at all. Ask Elite Earthworks or Dirt Boss or anybody. My friend Lyle today, who's hooking us up with just a little bit of dirt. I want to give him a shout out and his company, T&K Utilities. They getting us some dirt to go over there and build that pond dam up a little bit. And ideally, I like for the top of a dam to be at least a foot above the water level. up. Oh, well, wait, no, I'm in. Hold on a minute. Let me get this straight. No, that ain't. No one running over the dam. But what I'm saying is, you know, as soon as somebody starts going to a panic mode and they know they're caught, that's when I'm pretty much, you know, done with somebody. I'm not going to put up with a liar. You know, I've been straight with this guy from the very beginning, and even though I told him in the beginning, I'm like, we're going to do this, this, and this. We're going to cut the core out. We're going to replace it and compact exactly like I did in the video. I won't bore you guys with those details, but I did exactly that. Now this is where I messed up. Verbally, I told him, you know, we're going to try the recore for this price. If that doesn't work, any further work will cost more. Well, you know how this is going. I'm starting to see, like, he's starting to throw things out there to explain why it's not going to work, and that, you know, he's gearing up. Customers will do this. They'll gear you up to where they're going to want you to do more work for no more pay. And as soon as you start getting that direction from somebody, you're better off to cut your losses and get out of it. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with how I handled this, but I told him I'm sending Brandon up there. We're going to bring some more fill dirt. We're going to get the pond dam up to an acceptable level for me, which is built up to about a foot above the water line. Now, bear in mind, the pond is full. It's more full than it's ever been. So his pond is holding water, and I, at this point, don't know if water has ever even run through that pipe. I don't know if, you know, he was just talking or whatever. So to me, it's like, well, maybe there's, you know, those are spring heads and it's never run out. And he was just telling me that to say, well, it was working. Well, now the water level's down. We don't know. But what we do know is we can't trust what the customers tell us. So I can't keep going over there every day and seeing for myself what's really happening. You know, it may be that he sees water flowing out of the bank and assumes it's a leak, which it may or may not be, without me dying the pond and checking the water color. None of that is worth that to me at this point. No amount of money is worth it to me, because I can't trust my customer the same way that I know that they can trust me. So what I did was I messaged him and I just explained that I've gone over every scenario, that whether it's a leak, you know, I could die, and if he hadn't told me the truth and it actually just hadn't filled up enough yet to run out the pipe, I don't know. So even though we've spent a few hours already over there and we did what we said we were going to do, just to avoid, you know, bad mouthing and this, that, and the other, I messaged him and I said, I don't think that pond can be fixed on the budget that we've discussed, and I understand that you've already, I brought up a liner, you're not interested in doing that, and the only way for me to truly know what's going on is to recore the whole dam. And then what good is that if it is a spring head? In other words, folks, every minute you spend on a customer's job is costing you money. And if you don't know that you're going to recoup that just because somebody is wanting you to chase a ghost, it's not worth it. So I told him that we were going to build that dam up and get it back to the way it was. I hoped that the pond would stay full despite him thinking it's a leak. I hope that it works. I hope it runs out the pipe, but that there was nothing more that I was going to be able to do for him, and that I was going to refund his full initial $2,500, every single penny of it. And there are going to be some that say, you're crazy, you did what you said you were going very rare that a customer and me have not had a good ending. But anytime I had a gut feeling that they were going to be a problem or try to get out of paying or something, I've been right. And I'm following my gut now. Even if he's like, well, you know what, man, I'll give you $10,000 to make the leak stop, I would not accept it. I would not go there. Even if he's like, I'll give you $10,000, you know, regardless of the outcome, I really want you to work on my job, I would not take it. Because you don't know if that's what he's really going to follow through with, he or she. In this case, it's a he, but yeah, there are people out there who are shameless. They do not care. They'll do anything to get out of paying a bill. I know contractors who will do whatever just to get a job, get their deposit, and they don't care whether they do the job or not. You know, I treat people as good as I can, and I conduct myself as good as I can. That is where we're at on the pond job. We're out of there after today. And I hate it. I hate leaving a job like that, but it disgusts me. I would have liked to have just stuck in there, made that my white well, and even kept working, you know, on that budget. Could I have stopped that leak? You bet. I could have stopped it. It would have took some doing, but all it would have took was him, you know, shooting me a straight line too. And being honest with me, I will not put up with a liar. I hate that. And needless to say, from now on, all work. And I've said this before, and I always meet somebody I think it's a nice person, and I wish the world worked on a handshake. But this just reminds me that I just need to have a contract every time, and you guys should too. So we'll get off of that subject. You know, I don't like my channel having negative vibes, but sometimes that just occurs. So we're going to move on with living the dream, swinging back and forth. This can get boring, so if you get into this, and as soon as you start feeling bored or uncomfortable, you know, the seat's uncomfortable because you're sitting on uneven ground, just take a break. I encourage Brandon, I'm like, take breaks, man. Take breaks, give yourself, you know, some breathing time. This is so much easier than it used to be. She used to have a fence running up this edge, and I'll flip around in a second and let you guys see. It's cloudy today, so I'm hoping the glare is not too bad on you guys, but I'll show you guys. We're sliding a little bit. There's the road, driveway. No wonder I was spinning. I was stuck on that blame rock. Luckily, it's not so steep that the machine can't swing side to side. You will get in those positions, though. That's a fact. But I'm telling you, this is fun, man. We've got 7 glens coming up again. I've got a previous video of that job. But we'll have some aerial videoage this year. Possibly. Oh, I just got in the dirt. Drives me nuts. Talking about dulling some teeth. We've got that coming up. We've got driveway projects. A lot of good stuff. I don't know if there's a whole lot for you guys to learn. I'm just going to go ahead and nip this limb off. Get it out of my way. Got to watch the Dirt Boss yesterday and Mr. Elite Earthworks. I think it's awesome that him and Miss Elite were out working together. I think that's awesome, man. She did really good on that dozer. I've still never worked with a dozer. I've run them and loaded them on trailers back when I hauled heavy equipment for United Rentals. That's okay. Over here a little bit more. Put our blade down for stabilization. Just an old jack pine right here. Maybe you can see it. You can just go over top of them and just, yeah. No more sapling. I'm telling you, man. Just like a weed trimmer. And when those teeth are sharp, man, you can do a cut just like a lawnmower. I do encourage people, don't try to cut down super low to the ground, because all you're going to do is hit the dirt and dull your teeth. Sharpening the teeth on this thing is not fun at all. There's a rock in here, or a couple of rocks. Learned that the hard way over the past years. And you will also learn, as you do this, certain types of plants will grow around rocks. And it'll look different. And you'll learn to avoid based on that knowledge. This mulcher will eat just about anything. And if it was on a machine or a platform that had enough power, it would chew up big stuff. Big stuff. Back up here and try to go up the shoulder. I'm telling you, it's way better than running a weed eater. And a lot of times when I'm doing like a steep bank like this, what I will do is I'll just ease up, and you can actually set this head, let it spool up, put your machine in slow crawl and just drive. And then you make small adjustments as you go. I'm making this video also for Brandon, because he's going to be doing a subdivision mowing job next week. Actually, maybe into this week. And when it's really tall stuff like that, don't try to be like, oh, I'm in a hurry. I'm going to shove it down to the bottom where I think the ground is. Because if it's your first time mowing it, that property, there will be a rock in there. But now, after you mow a property, you know where all the rocks and stumps and stuff are at, I say go for it. Dig in deep. And even I forget about a rock once in a while. Just gonna ease up through here. I'm gonna get a little more over toward the shoulder. Like going down into a ditch like that, super duper handy. You make some good money with this machine. You know, it's not a super big or super high production machine, just because it doesn't have a whole lot of power and it doesn't have a dedicated circuit just to run the head. I know people make anywhere from $1,800 to $3,000 a day. Actually mowing and doing. Another factor is where you're at, what the economy is like, and that's something you have to learn about your specific area. I can't tell everybody how to price their jobs for everywhere. There's some places this job would pay like $750, and there's places where it would pay 20. I'd say the tops on a job like this would be about $2,500. Charge anywhere near that, because she's a customer that I really like, and I've been doing this job and we've got a rapport, so I take care of her. She's always been good to me, always paid. And that counts in my book. And I'm just going to keep filming, because some people love this stuff. Don't unsubscribe, because it won't always be this video, and it will not always be the same type of job. I promise I'll make good videos again. I don't know why people like watching this stuff, but they do. As long as people like it, I'm going to record it. Catch myself has it been since we filmed anything? The 80s? I'm gonna tell you something I saw that was cool yesterday, man. Dirt Boss Masonry. Actually, I think his channel is Dirt Boss Excavating in Masonry. That guy gives a shout out. You know, he didn't have to, and none of us do. He was in his video, he just, you know, did a quick little segment of Elite Earthworks. He was waiting on a load of dirt, or his loads of dirt to arrive, and he was watching Elite Earthworks. And Brandon's a great guy. I talked to him on the phone for like an hour the other day, and every time I talk to him, I'm kind of starstruck. It's like, man, this guy's a YouTube creator. He's got a good sized following, but he'll take the time to talk to me on the phone. And I think that's awesome. So, some people may not, but I do. So anyway, Dirt Boss is like, yep, just sitting here, waiting on a load of dirt. That's my worst impression of a northern accent ever. He gave a shout out to Brandon, man. He's like, just sitting here watching Elite Earthworks. Check his channel out, he said. And I thought, man, that's really cool. He doesn't have to do that, and he doesn't have to take up his viewers, you know. He could be worried, you know, viewers ain't gonna like this segment. They're not gonna want me spending their time giving a shout out to somebody, but he doesn't care. He wants to help a fellow YouTuber, and I think that is really awesome. And I think that says a lot about his character as a person. And he takes time to comment on my videos, and you know, I'm starstruck again. It's like, man, this guy's got a bigger following than me, like twice as many people. And he watches my videos, and he's obviously better at what he does than what I do. He's got a bigger following, but he still takes the time in to comment and, you know, praise the video I've done. I would appreciate him, you know, even telling me I did something wrong. I appreciate when somebody cares enough and takes the time to be like, hey man, you may want to think about this, or this may happen as a result. You know, me and Lyle talked a lot about stuff, and I covered that in another video, so we won't do that again. But you know, and I don't read through creators' comments a whole lot. That's not really, you know, my thing. But just to learn somebody's character. I was reading through the comments, and there's, you know, there's always know-it-alls on there. There's the armchair operators, and they're like, oh, you didn't do this right or that right. But you know, Dirt Boss, man, he's a gracious person. He doesn't fire back. He doesn't get rude that I've seen. He responds with kindness. That, you know, I'm sure maybe not always, and I may not have seen it, but he's a kind person, and he knows how it is. And these armchair operators. Now here's a section that Brandon did, and I'm telling you, this is time consuming. When I first got here yesterday, I was like, yeah, he hasn't gotten very far, but for his first time running this thing, you know, there's a lot to learn, a lot to figure out. Well, then I was like, take you a break. I'm going to jump in that machine and do it. You know, I thought I'm going to show him how this is done. I'm going to move along with this. Slow, slow, slow. I had to eat crow. I was like, man, this is thicker than it has ever been, man. No wonder. I'm going to have to go up this hill at an angle. Rained a little bit on us last night. I don't like having to track material down before I cut it, but you know, it's what it is. We just gonna have to do what we can. I got to know this up and down actually. I bet I will. see, my tractor could climb up and down this hill, but I didn't want to bring the tractor for this section over here that it can do and then get way over there where it's real steep and then have to bring this machine anyway. So I just make the judgment call to just bring this machine. I appreciate all the creators out there. And that's the reason I give them shout outs, because there's something to learn from every one of them. I like to think that I'm fairly decent at like the beginner, like the very basics of excavation. And like if you watch a lead or Dirt Boss, Chris over at Let's Dig, he just videos his day as it happens. He's not teaching, he's not, you know, he's just wanting to show the world what he does, and people like to watch it. But just watching somebody, there are things to be learned. There are techniques. Not to mention just the personalities. It's fun to meet people and get to know them. Telephone. So as you can see, there's the house looming over me. We've reached that point to where if I go much past this, the excavator can't spin back uphill very easily. So we're just kind of having to inch our way along, as it were. And that's okay. This is a quoted job, so she knows how much it's going to cost her, and we know that we can work at a pace that's safe for me to work at, that I'm comfortable. And when Brandon gets up here, if I'm not done, I'm going to put him back on it. I'm trying to get these steepest parts done for him, because this just isn't something I want him really learning on. It's too nerve-wracking, especially after it's rained. The root systems of the weeds is not that strong and secure, and this thing can take off sliding on us. And anybody who says they've never had one take off sliding on them, you just haven't run an excavator very much. I've had this thing go sliding down just a grassy bank, and I'm gonna tell you, they pick up speed quick. Best thing, just sit there and hang on for the ride. It'll stop when it gets to the bottom, maybe. Seatbelts were invented for a reason. So I'm gonna keep plugging away here. We'll check back in a little while. Alright, so I got bored with the safer mowing side to side across this hill, so it was also getting where it was having a really hard time swinging side to side. So I'm facing downhill, and I'm using the momentum of the swing to work myself side to side. And I just move the boom as best I can to put it on target, and I try to keep it moving as well. I might have to go to the same spot a couple of times because I'm moving so fast, but this is definitely a more efficient way of doing this. Now the other thing is I swing uphill, lift my blade, and drive downhill. I ladle down so it's smoother, and both feet forward, and I get ready to drop the blade to stop myself, because it is very slippery today. Idle back up, get that head spun up, and we're back at it. That blade keeps us from tipping forward. There's no way I could do this with this machine if it didn't have a blade. Now you can pause to let that head spool back up just briefly and keep on going, because that tall stuff will pull the head speed down in this Yanmar machine. Facing downhill just is not going to work today very well. Now I don't lift the machine, I just support it with the blade, keeping my tracks flat on the ground. That blade bites in, and it also holds the machine from twisting side to side when I change directions. Let's let that head spool up a little bit more. Once it's completely spooled up, we can go back to it. Y'all may notice the difference in how it cuts once it's spooled up really good. Now since I'm moving so fast also, I'm only gaining about a foot advance with each swing. I'm trying really hard to just kind of hover and not get in the dirt too much like that. You guys drop in the comments if you're experienced with this stuff and your experiences and what's worked for you on steep ground. Your knowledge is valuable. Let's let that head get spooled up real quick. And away we go. It's still a heck of a lot better than running a hand trimmer. So much fluid and pressure in just swinging the boom, or the body of the machine as it were. Must be some high spots in here from the last time I did this and the tracks stirred it up. Swing uphill, so I gotta lift this boom and have faith that I'm not going to just flip over. You'll learn what works for you. We're definitely not in South Carolina in flat country. That's for sure. Now I could lift the body of the machine up and level myself a little bit, and it would make swinging easier, but it would tear the ground up. And the last thing I want is to tear this ground up to where I can't get a grip on it the next time around. Know what I mean? There's that for that little lesson.